Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Ground Grown Podcast. We are here, episode number 6, at our first ever off-site shoot. We are now home to the newest, the freshest CrossFit gym in Metro Manila, specifically south of Manila, where a lot of us were quote-unquote born. We'll get to more into that. We are now here at Habitat CrossFit, and joining me are the 3 handsome boys that represent them in terms of their coaching roster.
Hi.
Thank you. You get to know them in just a little bit, but we've got a lot of firsts as well. As you can see, we have three guests. It's like a triple threat, and it's also our first offsite and the first time we ever had to do a second take. This is our second take. For those who don't know, we do all of our shoots, all of our podcasts with just one take. But you can also see that we have in our hands microphones to deliver a clearer audio and hopefully a more enjoyable experience when it comes to the podcast. We are continuing to innovate, and we are continuing trying to improve the quality of what we do after all. Okay? And without further ado, of course, let's go ahead and introduce our 3 guests today. We'll be starting off from the leftmost side. Real quickly, tell us who you are.
So hi guys, my name is Coach Miggy Reyes. I'm 20 years old. I've been doing CrossFit for 2 years. And my hobbies are rubbing my 2 Pomeranians and
2 Pomeranians, so that's what you call it now.
Pomeranians.
And so I coach, and I'm also about to start work soon. All right. So
Head coach of
Habitat
CrossFit.
Yep. Next.
All right. So hi guys, I'm Jules Gatmaitan, one of the head coaches here in Habitat CrossFit. So I started my CrossFit journey sometime in 2012, so almost 4 to 5 years of doing CrossFit already. I'm 23 years old. I just graduated a couple of weeks back. I have an undergrad in finance in DLSU. And aside from CrossFit, I really like to read, just eat good food, and just hang out and have fun, stay outdoors, play, and all the fun stuff.
You're from DLSU, but Habitat is blue, so
I know.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, dominant colors they really surface eventually. Your cactus is green.
We have green plates too.
Yeah.
A blue one too.
The green plates are smaller than the blue plates. Just FYI.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm done pointing that out now. Go Ateneo.
So, hi,
Bro,
I'm
you're
Paddy
outnumbered
Poli,
here.
the 3rd head coach of Habitat CrossFit. And not many people know this, but I have a law degree. However, ever since starting CrossFit, I've decided to make fitness my life. And like Coach Job, I also graduated from Ateneo Law.
We're kind of outnumbered. It's 3-2 right now. But it's okay. Eagles soar high.
What's other saying?
Nothing. We can stop talking about that. And of course, we want to talk about how Habitat CrossFit came to be. And of course, this is just much like a lot of the CrossFit gyms all around the world, specifically more locally here in Manila. It really is a passion project more than anything else, of course. And to help us discuss real quickly how that happened, who they worked with, will be Coach Juice.
All right, so a couple of reasons why we decided to open up this our box right here. So first one mainly is because we're super passionate about CrossFit, and really we all benefited so much with CrossFit, and we just really want to give back and really impart our passion to the members and our clients here, and really give them that high quality level of coaching and that really good community feel. Second reason I think would be, which is really important to us, is that prior to opening, there was kind of a void in our community a bit. So we kind of lost our home, and we really wanted to rebuild that certain community. So that's why we built this place, really to just gather people together, strengthen bonds, and strengthen those relationships again, and really just have fun and to create a happy place for everyone here.
When Coach Yu says home, we're specifically talking about the Bang Box. And for those who know, the Bang Box did close down already and we moved and rebranded into under a new brand name. And of course, when Jules says that we lost our home, that goes as well for the Central Ground crew, who eventually opened up in BGC. So what we have here is actually a very unique thing, and it kind of feels like a rebirth of sorts, but in 3 different locations. We said 3, not 2, so we have Central Ground, Habitat, and you'll soon hear about the third one. Yeah, you'll just have to wait for that. So we're all, as we like to say, born from the bang box. So it's sort of like same, but different. So that whenever we go to the different groups, whenever we go to the different facilities, it really does still feel like home. Whether it's the people, whether it's the programming, whether it's the community, whether it's the coaching, something that we share is much deeper and goes much more deeper or goes beyond just the four corners of a facility. So I think that sets us a unique thing that we share right now, for now, with Habitat CrossFit and Central Ground CrossFit, and soon other boxes as well that's rooted from the same community. And of course, just like with anything, when you open or you go into any endeavor or any journey, there always has to be some form of challenge, right? And of course, Habitat CrossFit, I'm sure they went through their own challenges, as they are one of the younger groups actually to ever open a CrossFit facility. So it's fairly interesting as well. So to talk about those challenges would be Coach Miggy.
Hi. So the challenges, one of the challenges is because we're a lot of people in this box. So there's a lot of different opinions, decisions. But after overcoming all of that, I think one of the biggest challenges, and actually one of the biggest challenge for any other box, is that people try to question what CrossFit is. Since it's still very new here in the Philippines, relatively 7 years. 7 years compared to other countries that have been doing it for 15
10
or
plus,
what.
yeah.
It's very difficult to try to explain what CrossFit is. People still see it as very intimidating because from the videos or what they see online. But when we try to explain it in our gyms or for any other coach there, it's a lot different because it's a methodology, it's a lifestyle. So that's how we try to explain CrossFit. It's very hard to explain it in one go because you have to try it several times. I'm pretty sure all of us here, when we tried CrossFit the first time, we couldn't understand what it was. But eventually, after a few tries or give it a few weeks, you'll start understanding the purpose of CrossFit or what we try to do here. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges right now when we get inquiries from people from different age groups, from different abilities. It's about how they can incorporate it to their lives. So it's one of the biggest challenges. Really.
Yeah, and I think it's also funny because we're in the South, right?
Yes.
And we've been in the South.
Yeah.
For a good 4 to 5 years now, doing our own thing. But again, that is what CrossFit is. It's a bit of a subculture, right? It's something that is not open just to the general public. And even if we made it so, like currently with your amazing location, it gives that accessibility. It's still hard to deliver the message across that it is a strength and conditioning program, that it's a proper methodology for achieving health, fitness, and wellness. And I think, like what you said, that's really one of the biggest challenges. And even after 7 years of existence, CrossFit in the Philippines still experiences this. And it's not going to get any easier for as long as we still have a lot of these hardcore images, right? Imageries. And the thing about it is what's readily available to the public really are those kinds of videos, right? What they see is the CrossFit Games, and what they see are the people getting injured. Yeah. The ones that go viral are the ones that people dropping their barbells on their head, right? Yeah. Right, Miggy? You're kind of used to this, right? But what they don't understand is there's a lot more to that, you know? There's a lot more to just what you see online, what you see with regards to like the difficulty levels. There's really, it's really for anyone and everyone. And I think our movement, right, the ones we're trying to, at least you guys who I work very closely with, our movement is try to really debunk that hardcore imagery, that elitist imagery that CrossFit has, and really be a very inclusive program. So I really hear where you're coming from. Which kind of brings me to one of the things that interests me the most, especially when we started talking about working with coaching here in Habitat CrossFit, and our time spent in Central Ground CrossFit together, and of course the years that we had in the Bang Box together. You guys came up with this idea of having 3 coaches, and I call you guys the 3-headed beast, the 3-headed dragon, or my preference, the Cerberus. Cerberus, the 3 of you guys. And to discuss with us why that's the case or what's the concept behind this would be Coach Paddy.
Okay, so we decided to delve into trying out or be 3 head coaches for a number of reasons. The most important being that we wanted to, each of us brought into the table different personalities, different specialties, different views in terms of training approaches, movements, and in that way, we would create this wonderful new type of programming wherein we do a little check and balance of each other's each other's programming movements, and we all have to come into one agreement, more like review, see like if Jules, like for example, Jules likes a lot of gymnastics. He may not look like it, but this guy, other than a barbell, moves really well under the pull-up bar. And then
One
you
of
have
the best.
Miggy, the athletic type of coach, more athlete. And then you have me.
Miggy likes barbells
Miggy likes barbells.
and Pomeranians.
And Pomeranians.
Rubbing
Me, I like
Pomeranians,
a
yeah.
lot of conditioning.
Running. He likes a lot of barbells. but
No.
before.
So each of us brings their own different. We bring our own different type of movement into the programming, and then we come up. How would you describe it?
a holistic program.
Yeah, three-headed. Just like how you have the three-headed monster in CrossFit. For those of you who don't know, that's strength, skill, and conditioning. We decided to implement that kind of format into our coaching. And another inside joke that we like to have is 3 of us equals 1 Job, since we all are.
And 4 of us equals 1 Renzi. 1 big boy.
So yeah, we're pretty much like students of Job, and then we decided like, hey, let's try another type of coaching. Let's take it another notch, see how this goes. And so far, it's been working really great.
So far it's good.
Yeah, so it takes the 3 of them to do my job. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No, I've been, for those who don't know, or at least
the time.
don't know who we are, at least with the consideration, the 4 of us, 5 of us actually, all of us have been working together for quite some time now. You know, beyond just working out, beyond just achieving numbers and breaking PRs, we really sit down and talk a lot about programming. We sit down and we talk a lot about fitness, strength and conditioning. Not just like who's on top. It's more of like, how do you achieve which? And if you're not achieving certain things, why? So we go into deeper details with regards to our own education, our own information, and really going into like a long journey of learning from one another as coaches. So for me, it's always a proud moment to see them now taking on the responsibilities for themselves. But I am, of course, still working very closely with each of them. So it's always inspiring to see, you know, your products or your fellow boxmates and the people who follow your program come into fruition with regards to whatever they want to achieve as either athletes or coaches. And all of us, we came from like some form of member to athlete to coach progression. So of course, that's always something nice to see. Which is, of course, our main topic for today. Right? So we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll be talking about the CrossFit Open still. We are 5 weeks. The 5 weeks, we're 3 weeks in now. By the time we release this episode, we'll be on the 4th week. So we'll only have 1 week left.
There's 2 more right now.
But there are two more
workouts
at the moment that we're talking about, so it's kind of confusing, right? And the 3 of them came into CrossFit at different stages of their lives. They've been spending doing CrossFit for different amounts of time, and they are currently in different stages of their journey to fitness. So that'll be our main topic for today, and we'll be talking more about that when we return. And we're back. Ground Grown Podcast, episode 6, still here at Habitat CrossFit, our first ever off-site shoot. Hopefully, this part will not have a second take because that'll be another first for us, right? So far, so good with the microphones. And for the first time, I've got 3 guests with me. You guys met them earlier. We've got Coach Miggy, we've got Coach Jules, and we've got Coach Paddy. Our main topic today is we'll be talking a lot about the CrossFit Open, specifically the different stages of the CrossFit Open. How does it apply to somebody who's been doing CrossFit for X number of years? What does it mean to them in terms of its journey, the community side, how are they experiencing it, how to what extent have they experienced it, so on and so forth. Currently, the 3 of them have all been under the same program with me for a few years now. And we've all also been part of local competitions before, throwdowns, as a lot of people do call them. But what a lot of people don't know currently is that they do have different stages in terms of training years, right? Miggy, you started CrossFit.
I started January 3 of 2015.
Wow, you really memorized
Yeah,
it.
I
huh?
memorized it, yeah.
Do you have that etched in your room? I'm
Yeah.
just really...
No,
Whoa!
I just remembered it. I just
Right?
remembered it out of
And this is your second Open.
This is my third. This is
Oh,
my
sorry,
third,
your
yeah.
third Open.
Yeah.
So 2 years in, but your third
Yes, so
Open already.
2015,
Right.
2016, and 2017.
Gotcha. And then Jules,
This is gonna be my 4th Open.
4th Open.
Open already.
But you've been doing CrossFit for
Almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years. And then Paddy,
This is going to be my second Open, but I've been doing CrossFit since June of 2015.
right? So about a year and a half, right? So we've got a year and a half, 2 opens, 2 years, 3 opens, and about 5 years and 4 CrossFit Opens, right? So they're definitely in different stages of experiencing the CrossFit Open and the different stages of their training years, their training age, so to speak. And of course, each one experiences it very differently. But we're here to talk to you guys about us being, like what I mentioned earlier, the first part, how we transition from being an athlete, a member, into being an athlete, so to speak, quote unquote, where you do a little bit more training beyond the classes, and then doing it as a coach. So all 4 of us have those different perspectives, right? So we'll start with, we'll go via the age, right? We're gonna start off with Paddy, being the shortest amount of time doing CrossFit and also only his second Open. Talk to us real quickly. What does the Open mean to you? And, how have you experienced it so far? And what does it feel like also as a coach?
Oh, so okay, I'll start with what does the Open mean to me. For me, the Open, in terms of CrossFit, it's the ultimate test of fitness. It's where you get to showcase or see how far your training has gone, up to what level it's taken, and you get to see where you're strong at, where you're weak at, what you need to improve on, and from there, improve yourself as an athlete, try to understand your strengths and weaknesses and what CrossFit really is. Other than that, as a coach, it's also a great culminating event for the community. It's where you see a lot of members suddenly find that fire inside them, wherein they bring all their heart out, and then you see them push. You see each member supporting everyone, regardless of how far they've come into training, how new they are into the sport. So for me, it's, other than the ultimate test of fitness, it's just the gathering, that sense of community. It embodies both sport, fitness, and community.
Right,
All
and I
three.
think each facility, whether new, old, remodeled, or whatever, really experiences it very differently. Whether or not the coaches facilitate it, the management team facilitates it, or the community itself facilitates it. But the common factor here really is that community aspect, right? I think
Yes.
all of us can agree at different stages of our experience with the CrossFit Open. That's one thing that we can agree on, right? So second up would be Miggy. So you're 2 years in, but this is already your third CrossFit Open.
Yes.
In fact, you were part of the roster of the team that we had
Yes.
when we went to the
Yes.
Pacific Regionals, right, in
Yes.
Australia. So from your perspective, what does the Open mean to you? What is it like coming from being a member to being an athlete and now as a coach of a community as well?
Yes. So I have 3 experiences, all of them different. So my first experience of the Open, it was as a member. So I did RX and scaled for that year, 2015. It was totally different because as you can see, all of these people just go to you, try to give you advice. During the whole 5 weeks, you make all of these friends. And it was very amazing for me since I was very new to CrossFit. I decided to do the Open early in my CrossFit career. It was such an amazing experience. I think it's one of the best decisions I've made starting in my CrossFit career, just to do the Open. It's really fun. Just like Paddy said, you realize some things that you can't do, so you try to improve on the following year. During my second Open, it was totally different because I was really focused as an athlete. It wasn't as fun anymore because I was really focusing on my scores. But the thing is, as I was doing that Open of 2016, you can really see the other people pushing themselves. And it was really such an invigorating moment to see everybody just support each other, try to help each other get better every opportunity. And now this year in my third Open, it's a lot more humbling because it's a very young box, so it's hard to try to get the spirit of the Open. But now I'm seeing it as a coach. And the way when I visit Central Ground, when you facilitate your Opens, it's very heartwarming as a coach to see people who you think won't get that certain sense of competition, not to other people, but to themselves. They're really pushing themselves. And when I visited last week, watching people do the snatches, getting their PRs, it was such an amazing experience, seeing that community drive the Open. So if you ask me what the Open really is, it's really a culmination of all the CrossFit affiliates, and all the members just trying to celebrate what fitness is for everybody.
Yeah, I think to this day, what a lot of people, specifically affiliates and people in the affiliates or people running the affiliates, fail to see is that the 5 weeks of the CrossFit Open is not only just an opportunity or a chance to bring your community together, but it's also a really good marketing tool, right? It's like what we were talking about earlier, the struggles, the challenge of being able to come across or get the message across that CrossFit is inclusive, that it's for anyone and everyone. The CrossFit Open is just that. It's convincing our members. It's convincing the new people. It's convincing the family and friends of our members that, I can do this. I just did this.
You
I
can
just
do it.
did it. You can do it.
Do it.
I just did something that I never thought I would be able to do. And as you mentioned, again, the common factor here, community, right? Whether you saw it as initially a member who did both RX and scaled, sounds really familiar, right? You still had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot of fun doing
and when
it
you
that
did it
way.
as an athlete, and of course now that you're doing it as a coach as well.
Yes.
I think the progression just kind of changes your perspective, but the value also increases.
The value totally increased from my first Open up to now.
You start to appreciate it more and more, especially once you kind of throw competitiveness out the window. But I mean, if that is your goal, then that's something that your coaches still need to guide you. And I think that is something that, with all three of you, I always made sure that I was very involved in. With your journey of the CrossFit Open, just making you guys, be sure to understand that, yes, it is a stepping stone to regionals as a competitive perspective. But I wanted you guys to enjoy it from a community perspective, that we were doing this together, not just as athletes or as a team, but we were doing it as a community, as sort of a family, so to speak, right? And I think that promotes longevity with regards to your journey to health and wellness. And the Open is really, for me, the most magical time of the year. And if we don't fully utilize that, then we're not using the tools that headquarters is giving us, right?
That's true.
Yeah. And of course, the longest one among the three of them, we've got Jules, who's been doing CrossFit for roughly almost 5 years now. And this would be your fourth. Relatively. And this would be your fourth CrossFit Open as well. And I've had Jules in my class. I remember his very first day, his trial. We used to call him the golden boy. Not because Jules had everything from the start. He's always had good gymnastics, but because you came from Gold's Gym.
Yes, the convention gym guys.
That's why we called him the golden
Back
boy.
and buys,
Yeah,
chest and try. No legs.
And I've seen you transform, because I think among everybody, you were the one I've seen really go from being a member to joining the athlete program, to reverting back to just joining the classes, back to doing the athlete program, getting into multiple throwdowns, and now coaching yourself. So what has the journey been like for you now that knowing that you have the longest among the three?
Yeah, so it's been a relatively long journey, and really in the first couple of years, like in the first year, your priority is different. I mean, you enter more or less as an athlete, and then as you're new to CrossFit, you don't really grasp the whole concept behind it. So when you see the Open, it's more of like, okay, it's a competition. Yeah. You kind of want to compare your scores against the person you're competing against. So that was my mentality then. But as I progressed and as I really understood what CrossFit was all about, I mean, just seeing everyone, all the good vibes and all, feeding from all that good energy around, I mean, you really have a deeper understanding. And as I really progressed in the future Opens, you really see, the community aspect of all of it. I know it's really repeated, but it's true that you really see the community aspect. I mean, I used to be the member who just work out and then do my workout and then just leave. But now, I mean, I really immerse myself in the community. Then the later Opens, you really see people pushing themselves to the limit. I mean, that's what I think what the Open is all about. Really trying to not compete with one another, but more or less being the best version of yourself. Yeah. Really trying to achieve your goals. Really trying to do things that you've never done before. Also at the same time, cheering others on and really celebrating each other's victories, no matter how big and no matter how small. And towards the later part, or the latter part of my CrossFit journey, really a lot of priorities really started to come about. So the athlete phase had to step back a bit because you have to focus on different things. So really I just stuck to class WODs. But really the competition's still there, but it's not really more of the priority now. It's not really the focus. And then right now is really me as a coach this time. So really seeing people achieve things that they're not able to do really brings so much satisfaction to us. I mean, it's a different level. I know it's tiring to coach at times, but really seeing people with the smiles on their faces, them getting fit, them getting off the couch to, achieve their goals, it really brings so much joy to us and really brings so much satisfaction. And yep, just the bottom line about the Open, it's really about the community and really just being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, we always revert back to that community aspect, right? Because I think if and when you experience the CrossFit Open right and well, that's the kind of value that you see. And I think I'm really happy to know that as we create this new legacy that we're trying to build, as we now move on to our different facilities, under different training programs or under different coaching programs, that we still have that common value, that we still have these common goals. And it's always, it's always an amazing thing when you can actually share that with people, when you intentionally share that with people. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I've been very particular about doing this, not just this episode, but talking about this topic specifically, is because I really see how a lot of facilities and a lot of communities see the Open as a limiting thing, whereas, oh, I need to train for this first, oh, I'm not ready to do the Open yet, oh, I can't commit to it. Again, I really am a big advocate of the magic of the Open with regards to building your community, your membership retentions, giving value to your coaches, because your members, they will look on to no one else except your coaches for advice, for helping with judging, for helping with strategies, finding motivation to do the workouts, right? With regards to, giving more value to your facility and just basically building that brand name, right? The Open gives all of us all of these, and if you're not fully utilizing it right now, I feel like you're doing two things. One, you're robbing your members, you're robbing your community of an experience unlike any other. And if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine, because they have to pay $10 to be up on a leaderboard. But those $10 for the 5 weeks of experience and the 5 workouts, regardless of what you tell me, I've seen some magical things happen, things that we'll be talking about as we close out the show in a bit, later on, right? That will just be etched in their minds. And if you're telling me that these moments do not give value to their journey of fitness and wellness, then then I will have to just agree to disagree. Secondly, apart from robbing your community of it, right? You're not giving, CrossFit its due diligence with regards to understanding, respecting, and just advocating its program, right? The idea of CrossFit is being able to test our limits. It's to test our fitness. One thing that makes our program unique is that we are able to see progress, something that you don't typically see in a global gym. We are guided by instructors. We are guided by coaches through a very intrinsic and complex strength and conditioning program, which delivers results because we are a results-based program. Now, the CrossFit Open happens once a year, and if you can say that those 5 weeks are the testing grounds, or basically your annual test to see progress, then again, not only are you robbing yourself, your coaches, your community, and everybody else who's involved in it, the opportunity to see whether they are improving or not, right? And I think that as coaches, as people in the community, we need to be less afraid of advocating something that is so, quote-unquote, scary or intimidating, and be more open to the idea that this will bring a lot of value. This will bring a lot to your facilities. That's why I continue to advocate it. When we get back, we're going to cap off the session with our 3 guests talking about what would be their advice to you guys doing the CrossFit Open right now, or your fellow coaches, as well as what are their favorite CrossFit Open moments. When we return, don't go away. And we're back, and it's time to cap off episode 6 of the Ground Grown podcast. Again, we're still here at Habitat CrossFit. Thank you to the management. Thank you to the coaches for allowing us to take a good hour of their day to shoot. And of course, I'd like to thank our 3 guests, but we're not yet done with them, right? Real quickly, we'll be asking them for some advice. If you haven't noticed, the cactus moves on its own.
Cactus life.
They just looked at the cactus just now, right? We'll be asking them for advice, whether it's for coaches, fellow athletes, fellow members in a CrossFit community doing the CrossFit Open either for the first time, second time, or even like myself and Jules for the 4th or 5th time already. And of course, we'll also be asking them what is their favorite CrossFit Open moment, because these things give value to what we do, right? I'll start off with Paddy.
So my advice for anyone doing the CrossFit Open is just do it. Throw away that scorecard. Don't mind the scorecard. Don't get too obsessed with the scoring, the points. I mean, most of us do the Open to test our fitness, to test how far we've come in training, but don't get too obsessed with the score, because the moment you just eye that leaderboard, eye those points, you start to get too competitive and it becomes all about the points. It's not about how you do as an athlete, what your strengths or weaknesses are. It's not about the love of the sport, love of fitness, or the love of community. It becomes an obsession about points. And if you don't get where you are at, you just get frustrated. And the more you get frustrated, you're going to hate it. You lose love for why you did it in the first place. And the moment you hate it, you start to lose the fun for it. And you're just going to burn yourself out. You're going to tire and you're going to regret why you did in the first place, and you're just gonna give up and quit.
That's true. And one of my favorite advice for a lot of people who are doing CrossFit for either their first time or if they got into leaderboarding right away, or people who are on the athlete level and then they're not really trying to go to regionals, but they leaderboard so much, is try to veer away from that too much. One of the biggest bad habits that you can develop from just looking at the leaderboard all the time is you're going to look at the scores of other athletes. You're going to look at how well or how bad they did. And the moment you feel victory over either beating them and defeat if you lost to them, you already lost, period, because you're playing their game. You're not playing your game. You're not doing the Open for yourself. You're doing the Open for somebody else. And that's one of the things, that's one of the black holes of leaderboarding. So it's okay to leaderboard for as long as you understand that this should be more of your journey rather than someone else's. This should be more of your game rather than somebody else's game. Just some friendly advice to a lot of people. Jules?
Yeah. Okay, so advice for all the casual CrossFitters that are doing the Open. I mean, just don't get caught up too much about what the workouts are. I mean, don't stay up all night thinking of how to strategize. Okay, how should I do the setup? I mean, the Open is really just there to celebrate the small achievements and really gathering together and strengthening that community. I mean, no need to look at the leaderboard every single minute. I mean, you're just there to have fun. And like I said before, really just be the best version of yourself. And you're really not competing against anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
So that's practically it.
Yeah, well said by Jules. Of course, a lot of it is like a lot of people are just dreading every Friday, at least Friday for the Philippines, when the workouts are released. Try not to overthink that, and just look forward more towards like, oh, I'm gonna have Friday night lights with my box mates, and I get to work out again with my community. You can choose your buddy, and whoever loses the workout buys a round of beer or something like that, right? Have some fun with it, guys. Try not to be too serious about it too. And last but not the least, Miggy?
So my advice would be for any member or coach is try to support that random guy or random girl while doing the Open, because that's one of the best moments when somebody that you don't know is actually cheering for you. And when you see that person cheering for you, it's just like, he doesn't know me, but he's cheering for me, so I have to push myself. So that's one of my biggest advices. For the Open, it's really such a cheerful moment when somebody goes up to you and says, good job on your workout. Or like when you can relate to somebody that you don't know in the morning crew or the evening crew, and you're sharing the same experience. So it's from a community standpoint as an advice. Support your random boxmate.
Yeah, so like what we mentioned earlier, it's really one of the best ways to develop that community within your facility. It's when you get people to be cheering on each other, even if they've never worked out with each other or even if they've never met. It's a really cool factor, right? So, favorite CrossFit moment? We'll go the reverse. We'll start with Miggy.
So my favorite CrossFit moment was when I first did my first ever qualifier. It had something with the 1-rep max clean and jerk. So I decided to jerk 205, and then it was about to fail. So I caught it again, and then I looked at everybody and said, okay, I can jerk this time. And then I jerked it, and I failed. So that was a really dumb reason. You can search that in YouTube.
You can find it there, guys.
I think I have that video.
Please don't do that.
We'll link it. No, just kidding.
And Jules, favorite CrossFit Open moment?
All right, so I have no specific moment actually, but really the best moments for me are when my fellow boxmates like get their first muscle up or get their first pull up. Really, everyone goes wild on camera. I mean, we all celebrate. I mean, even though that person only just got one, if the workout requires like 30, I mean, it's just really so happy. And I mean, the energy is just crazy.
Like Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That
just
was
recently
Anna,
that video just got shared recently where
That was the one
one
I'm
of our
talking about.
female members got their first ever ring muscle up,
Yeah.
and everyone went ballistic.
Yeah.
It was
You guys should
crazy.
see that,
It
yeah.
was such a
Yeah.
crazy moment.
Really
And
good
of course, Patty, last one.
My favorite CrossFit Open moment is particularly the pain. No, I like how every time we do an open work, or when I did an open workout, I think this was last year's last open workout. It was a lot of thrusters and a lot of bar facing burpees, wherein you reach that moment where your body's in so much pain, and then your mind just tells you, no, I can't do this, I gotta stop. But then you find that wind in you when someone just pushes you. You can do it. Suddenly you just find this second wind, you pick it up, and then all of a sudden, it's like you've started fresh again, and then boom, you finish the workout. You actually feel good about it, even though you're in a lot of pain. So yeah, I like that part of doing the open. Or anything.
So you can obviously tell Patty's a little bit cuckoo in the head, right?
He loves the pain.
And of course, that's everybody. So again, thank you, Miggy. Thank you,
you.
Jules. Thank you, Paddy.
Thanks
And
for
thank
having
you,
us,
of course,
Joe.
Big
Thank you.
Boy.
Thank you.
4 equals 1. Right. And that caps off episode number 6. Take it from your coaches, guys. Enjoy the CrossFit Open. We have 2 more weeks left. 17.4 coming your way. My prediction, the chipper workout. I'm saying this on a Thursday, so if I'm correct, if not, then whatever. And of course, 17.5 coming towards the end. We'll never know what it is until Dave Castro, the man, announces it. And with that, we'll see you guys soon because we still have tips and strategies coming up for you guys for week number 4, brought to you by Ground Grown, the Ground Grown podcast. Thanks again to Habitat CrossFit.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us
Sancho
also.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys. Bye.
Peace.
See you if ever.